get that they were doing things to be funny and to really, really push me to my limits, but as I explained to them after that whole thing, when you force my mindset to regress to how I was in Utah, it's arguably worse than Summers, but with ultra-violence.
It was dark. The energy in that house was just like darkness.
You gonna kill me? Gonna hit me? Better make it count. Better kill me in one shot.
I had to reprogram myself. I was very paranoid after I left. You know, like looking who's behind me, making sure nobody's following me.
I hate being angry, I hate being mean, and well, you saw how it was like, they wanted me to be the villain, so it was just like, okay, we just need to keep putting pressure on him.
If he goes nuclear, you just hug him, like hug the back of his neck. We'll try to pull him down to the ground. It'll be good.
It's like killing your favorite dog.
Yeah.
He's got rabies.
You wanted it.
All right, let's have a chat about Fishtank. Don't know what Fishtank is? Check out my beginner's guide here and then mosey on back. A lot of what I'm about to discuss applies to Fishtank in general, but I'll contextualize it by specifically using clips from season 2. Fishtank is not reality TV. It is marketed as reality TV, but it's not really. Well, at least it's not only reality TV.
So you're telling me this is a TV show, but it's going to be on the computer? It's streaming, right, like a satellite, from a satellite phone. Streaming?
Calling it reality TV is an abstraction. It's a neat way to package and sell the product. But what's in the package is something a whole lot more nuanced. And I'm going to tell you why.
Making mud pies in the stanky hot weather. He never.
Far from fitting the reality TV mold, Fishtank goes out of its way to break reality TV conventions, including footage that would normally be left on the cutting room floor, having fish and freeloaders alike illuminated with little to no fanfare at the start and middle of episodes, no less. Having production staff feature as characters with considerable screen time and regularly breaking the fourth wall.
We're talking about, well, I should talk directly to the camera.
Yeah. These are techniques that violate the sanctity of reality TV.
Because it's breaking the fourth wall. It's making people pissed off.
Nothing you'd find on Big Brother, that's for sure.
Come on, you're on a TV show, it's fun.
Totally.
But beyond the superficial stylistic differences, what makes Fishtank really interesting is its approach to narrative. Remember, this is a show that's live streamed 24 hours a day. You choose which room you watch and which fish you endorse with the currency of your attention. Normally on reality TV, the edit is where moments are stitched together. Running on the 30 to 60 minute episode block for TV, it's the editing room where moments and events are stitched together for the narrative convenience of the audience. To create consistency, moments between characters or in challenges that contradict the narrative, such as the character behaving immorally, are discarded in the edit. By choosing what the audience sees, they can transmute a sequence of events that would otherwise be strangers doing strange things into a sequence of events that has real emotional stakes. If the show is live streamed 24 hours a day, production just don't have the luxury of sitting in an air-conditioned editing room and reconstructing something resembling a story. Jet Neptune and his production staff, they do perform post-mortem surgery on the raw footage, and we eventually get traditionally edited episodes. But first and foremost, the show is essentially a live improv theatre session lasting 42 consecutive days.
You be ready Monday, buddy!
That's pretty good. Damn.
That is excellent.
Especially when you take into consideration they're trying to make this house as inhospitable to human life as possible while still having fish left to torture 42 days in. To achieve this, They have a macro strategy in which the fish tank is gradually brought to a boil through a variety of nefarious, downright manipulative tactics, including leveraging the sunk cost fallacy and other psychological trickery. Production have to walk the line between ramping up too quickly and losing the fish, or ramping up too slowly and losing the audience. You see, this hyper-dramatized world of reality TV, it doesn't just happen on its own. The showrunners need to orchestrate, or in some cases, fabricate dramatic tension. Here's the showrunner for Big Brother talking about some of the techniques she would employ.
Physicality is very important. You know it yourself. If you go to a hotel room that looks miserable, we would do things like we would lower the ceilings and turn the lights up, and we would make the sofas rubber, and they would have cushions that had pricks in them, and the colours would be maybe a little bit too bright.
In this department, Fishtank is a reality TV show. They just take this approach and dial it up to 11. Fishtank's producers know they can't just rely on a handful of moments they can stitch together in the edit. The audience is always watching and always ravenous for content.
Faking it sometimes is really fun. Sometimes it needs, there's a reason reality TV is fake. That's what I learned after it's 4 in the afternoon and y'all are just on the couch. I'm like, all right, I have to make something fake happen right now.
In order to meet this high demand of content, they need to create a certain atmosphere within the tank. They do this by dialing up 2 properties in the tank. Uncertainty, as in uncertainty about what's happening.
Even still, with Judge telling me, oh yeah, that was a lie that Brian told you, I still don't know what's real and what's fake.
It is real that Brian is a contestant trying to win $50,000. He lied to you about that. But he also, I don't think he dislikes you. I think he likes you. That's real. That's not fake. Are you trying to figure out if I'm lying?
I think I already figured it out.
Do you think I was lying? Because I was telling the truth, Jimmy. Oh my God. You think I was lying?
Yeah.
Okay, well I was telling the truth.
Nah.
Uncertainty about who to trust. Uncertainty about when players are getting eliminated. And uncertainty about the consequences of certain actions. And stress. I bet if you could record the amount of cortisol in the house, cortisol is the stress hormone, it would probably be up there with soldiers in wartime. It'd practically be dripping out their pores.
This is a big exaggeration, but I feel like I came back from war or something, you know?
So equipped with these 2 dials, the producers can get most of the way towards eliciting pretty much any response they need.
We just want people that are just being themselves, but they just don't know what's going on.
In season 2, all but one of the fish were fans of the show and or Sam Hyde.
Internally, I was fanboying, especially at seeing Samuel, Sam Hyde, and it's like, oh shit, I'm really here.
They do this because it allows them to efficiently create this atmosphere of uncertainty and unease. Turns out it's pretty easy to put people on edge. You just assume a role of authority, e.g. be part of production, and tell the fish contradictory information. Step 1. Tell each fish, in private, that they are the plant and must keep this a secret lest they are eliminated.
Because I'd gone in without them even telling me, thinking I was the only fan on the show.
Vance picked me up and he was like, are you the fan? And I was like, hesitant, but I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, when you get there, don't let it be known that you're a fan, keep it to yourself. We're doing a theme this season. You may be going home tonight if they figure out you're a fan.
Because Jet was the one who drove me to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that I was the plant. And that I was the only plant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the classic only plant.
I was nervous.
I can imagine.
The first thing they told me was all right, your secret challenge is you're the only fan here, and you can't be discovered.
Yeah.
Then I started getting all nervous because I was now I have to think about how I act and what I say, and
Step 2, tell all the fish publicly that they must root out and find the plant, who you believe is you. Step 3, give the sole fish who isn't a plant a challenge to steal other fish's belongings, thereby having them be the prime suspect. And step 4, sit back and watch the air in the tank thicken with paranoia. But this is just the start. I could spend an hour talking about all the methods production employ to create this toxic environment. Frank Hassel, Chris, Alex Stein, they all contribute in fairly obvious ways. So let's talk about some of the less obvious examples.
I am a sower of chaos.
They introduce chips, which can seemingly only be used to pay rent, aka remain in the tank, or get drunk at the bar. They then give fish challenges to get said chips, which creates this dynamic where production can basically get the fish to do anything they want with the incentive of these chips. We see how this aids in their overall strategy almost immediately when they get Trish to flirt with Cole, someone she has no romantic interest in. This is a classic case of what I like to call the fish tank ego pop. You pump up a fish's ego, either directly by telling them they're doing a great job or indirectly by having another fish flirt with them. You then puncture their ego abruptly and watch them deflate. It happens to Cole twice, in fact. It happens to Jimmy, and it happens to Alex in season 3.
I felt what you felt, bro. I felt what you felt. Dude.
Another method production employ is filtering TTS. We can kind of categorize this under the umbrella term of managing each contestant's infosphere. What do I mean by infosphere? Well, I mean managing the information a contestant has access to at any given time, specifically censoring information.
There was a lot of stuff that we didn't let go through. I mean, you're sitting there in the moment and someone's having they're finally about to release and have this big freak out, which is good for TV. And then someone says, what would your mother think if she saw this? I'm not gonna let that through. So it's part of directing is not letting certain things enter people's heads, as manipulative as that is.
So not only do they add information, which is categorically untrue, they also subtract information they believe is going to be detrimental to the narrative or to the moment they're trying to create. And I say contestant and not fish because the whole Willy Wonka ending to season 1 simply wouldn't have been possible without Chris, a freeloader, being totally oblivious to the bit. This kind of feeds into the show's use of meta irony, but we'll circle back to that later. Production keep an eye out for specific psychological weaknesses they can exploit in each individual fish. They realise Haley doesn't like invasions of physical privacy, so they sniff her panties, barge in on her peeing, and then tape her to Chris's pelvis while she's being hassled. They kind of sense that Jimmy has unresolved trauma that manifests as animosity towards women. Perfect. We'll set him up with multiple women we introduce to the tank, knowing full well he will be repeatedly rejected.
I just wonder if you'd like to be my bitch.
No.
Oh. And we'll tell him there are 11 mechanized dolls scampering around the house in the wee hours of the morning. I mean, it's truly some deranged shit. Which leads into arguably my favorite bit of the whole season, when Cole, Detective Cole, on the case, is gaslit into believing there are clues in the walls.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Hi. Did you not hear? Did you not say that? Say what?
What?
I don't know if it's a bit or not. Your voice. There was a mystery. They told me there was the sound in the wall.
It hurts like shit. It's in my upper jaw, right here, and then below in my lower. A little bit. Am I having like a psychotic meltdown in there?
It could be Jimmy.
Is he looking for dolls?
I have no idea.
Oh, not again. No, the dolls are not in the walls.
The dolls are not in the walls.
No.
So that clicking I heard in the wall.
How's this keep happening?
What do you mean, how does this keep happening? My guy, you're the mastermind behind these paranoid delusions. What? Yes, here's a young woman who's clearly unstable, or at the very least sensitive to stressful situations. You know what? Let's put her in the tank and get her so worked up she starts vomiting everywhere and has to be sent to a mental asylum. Diabolical. The fact someone was let on the show at all should tell you that duty of care just does not apply to Fishtank, or to the entertainment industry broadly speaking. But the genius, if you can call it that, is that all these contribute towards creating an atmosphere of distrust. Brittany is already on edge around Jimmy after he was prompted into making advances on her. So when TTS jokes that Jimmy stole Taylor's panties and they both go along with the bit, she is convinced he really did steal the panties.
Do you think he was joking or do you think he was serious?
No, she looked pretty upset about it. She was like, yeah, just never do it again. And I was like, wow, so you sniffed her underwear.
Hey, Tay.
Jimmy, Crack Clan has seized 15% control.
I'm really
away from
sorry for
Gold
sniffing
Clan.
your panties,
We were trying
by
to
the way.
save you.
Oh yeah.
Fuck Fish. Gold Clan.
Which reaffirms her belief in him being a creep. Oh, and by the way, you know those stolen panties I was referring to? Well, they weren't really stolen. Taylor just thought they were stolen, but in reality she just forgot. She just forgot where they were. She then is suspicious of TJ, of all people, which gives us this brilliant shot. TJ doing his trademarked autistic rocking in and out of frame, so we the audience can't get a good read on him. It mimics Taylor's own paranoid perspective. It's unintentionally brilliant. None of this would be possible without the suffocating atmosphere of distrust that permeates the tank. There's all these chain of events where the initial cause is either production gaslighting contestants or contestants gaslighting themselves. All production have to do is plant the paranoia seeds and basically just let the atmosphere of the tank nurture them into toxic hate vines. At one point, Jet plays this trusted therapist role. Well, he's more like an anti-therapist because when he gets them to open up about their grievances and problems, he merrily scatters those little hate seeds in the cracks he's helped pry it open. And production don't stop at the psychological level either. The chemical makeup of the fish's brain is up for grabs. At the start of the tank, cigarettes are pretty liberally handed out. Cole, someone who prior to the tank had never smoked a cigarette, is lighting up like a damn chimney.
Stop sending me cigarettes.
As the show progresses, they gradually reduce the supply before completely handing the supply over to the audience via what they call cigarette delivery. So they first ensnare the contestants with a steady supply of a highly addictive stimulant. They then hand over this highly addictive stimulant to the audience, and the audience then distributes it on the basis of how entertaining the fish are being.
A lot more cigarettes.
Yeah, a lot more cigarettes. That was fucking intense.
And I haven't even touched on the effects sleep deprivation.
I had really bad sleep deprivation. I think that is also something that led to how crazy I felt and acted.
Constant drinking of caffeinated energy drinks and limiting the fish's food supply has on their emotional volatility.
Food is pretty scarce right now. I would love to have more food in the fridge.
Production are essentially gearing the fish's brain chemistry towards being in a constant state of psychological arousal. Unethical? Yeah, probably. But damn, it's extremely effective for generating content. I mean, at one point Sam has them literally throwing around an imaginary hate bowl. It's not like production are being subtle in their motives here.
Hands, you're gonna say something hateful to Trish.
They utilise all these methods to agitate the fish, but they need a way for all this tension they've helped create to dissipate without the fish just leaving. Enter the beef bell. The fish can ring the bell and instigate beef with someone. The two contestants duel it out in some absurd challenge, and the loser has to sleep in the doghouse. Not only is the beef bell ingenious in that it's an emotional faucet, allowing the contestants an outlet for their stress that keeps them in the tank and the audience fed with content, but it also acts to create a metagame where you can prevent other fish from having any influence. It's hard to scheme and complete missions when you're confined to a doghouse. We're just scratching the surface of all the production's machinations here. We throw around the term social experiment a lot these days, but if any show deserves the description, it's Fishtank. Remember all those psychological science experiments you're taught about in school that would never in a million years pass ethics approval today? The Stanford Prison Experiment, the Stanley Milgram Experiment, Stockholm Syndrome.
There's no one I love most in the world than you and your team, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm sorry I betrayed you guys when I wasn't feeling well.
It's all here. Not in a metaphorical sense either. I mean, they literally have a woman electrocute a man until he is apparently deceased just because Sam Hyde told her to. For all you psych majors out there that want to fiddle around in the human psyche, you don't need ethics approval. Just say you're making some entertainment. Say you're making a reality TV show.
Like, I trusted them way too much for what the show is.
It's honestly remarkable all the ways production and the audience nurture this toxic environment. But if Fishtank was just neurodivergent people being borderline tortured, I wouldn't be making this video. People don't just want to see neurodivergent people flipping out. What they really want is a narrative. They want heroes to relate to, and they want villains to hate. They want all this stress that they're witnessing to mean something. So production's job is knitting this shit show together into something resembling a narrative. TJ is a pretty lovable dude.
No, high school was okay. I took pictures of rocks.
When his shirts are stolen by another contestant, he doesn't even realise, and he just roams about the house without a shirt on for a few days. He gets a single message from TTS prompting him to dance whenever Mabamba plays.
Always start your galloping, no matter the circumstances.
He then proceeds to gallop on command.
I will stay true to that.
Just compliment her.
I got complimented and shit.
Yeah, dude, that's...
Even while chatting up his new love interest.
Okay.
So like, I was hanging out at my mom's house. Is probably really hoping that the house is probably all awake right now, and they just really want it to.
Oh look, off he goes without any music. And here he is, desperately trying to contain the urge to gallop.
Make Megan leave.
Yeah.
I swear to you I didn't, and it wasn't anything against her, it's just a lot of different stuff built up, and it's like, yeah, I kind of snapped.
Just as every good story needs a villain, it needs a hero that the audience can root for. When TJ comes into the tank, he's a shy, insecure young man. He tells us so himself.
I'm typically pretty shy or quiet.
Do you have any plans to like overcome that while you're here?
It'd be cool to overcome my shyness and quietness.
Honestly, you can just tell he's a good kid. Which is probably why production set him up early to be the hero. The TJ character arc is one of self-actualization. Production even set up this initiative group plotline in which individual fish are selected to go into the attic room. Major culty vibes, by design I'm sure, and receive life coaching or game advice. The plot promise of the initiative group is later fulfilled when TJ is given the hero's decision to either leave the tank or join the initiative group. and eject his love interest so he can stay.
You know what? I got a new problem now. You know what my problem is? You're the fucking main character. So now I have 4 weeks of show to fill. Well, you did lose the game. What do you want us to go? Well, I'll go kick Taylor right now if you want to stay. You want to do that? Say yes. Join the initiative group. Yes.
You're getting kicked off the show so I can stay.
Sounds good. Can I pack up my things now?
By electing to stay and have her leave, TJ has completed his arc and he's a new man who will take control of his life trajectory. Or so we think at first, but TJ's story isn't over. He starts to realise the web of lies and manipulation that production has ensnared him in. His life is completely under the control of production. He is their narrative pawn. He dances to their tune. So he turns their own tools of control against them by ringing the beef bell on production. Still in keeping with the arc of self-actualization, TJ stages a Camusian rebellion against his own fate.
Yeah. Thomas, who are you beefing with? You!
Oh, shit.
Are you sure?
Yes!
Okay.
I say Camusian because the outcome of this rebellion is being brutally beaten by Sam and later Ben. But that's not the point.
You glad you boxed me last night?
Yeah, it was cool.
Do you not mind getting your ass kicked, or is it just something about fighting that you enjoy?
I mean, even though I did get my ass kicked, I stood up for myself. So, and I tried something.
It's a beautiful moment and a wonderfully meta end to his arc. To demonstrate his newfound confidence, TJ challenges Jimmy to a boxing match after they bring Jimmy back as Fishtank's equivalent to a supervillain. Jimmy's all pumped up with moral rage over lies disseminated by production about TJ. It's kinda tense, and another example of production fostering lies, allowing them to fester so certain narrative scenes can play out that otherwise never would. TJ beats Jimmy, the villain is removed from the tank, and the hero's journey is complete.
Great job, TJ. Great job. Thank you. Great job.
Wait. We're still not done. Because TJ's act of rebellion is enough to incite a full-blown revolution. Freeloaders, previously production's thrall, beef with each other before realising they too are puppets on the ends of production's strings.
I just want to let you know we've been tracking Chris points to the dime.
Do you think we're recording Chris points?
Yeah. No.
To really ram home the point that these people are slaves to their characters, they have the contestants read from and act out scripts each day. This meta-narrative culminates in Greg, a freeloader, beating production in a boxing match, which signals the end of the reign of production and the triumph of the oppressed. Trotsky would be proud. Oh, would you look at that? Okay, but that has to be the end, right? Has to be. Nope. Rather than settle on production being the big bad, the show sprinkles in all these moments that paint quite a different story.
Sorry. Dude, you're my favorite. You're my favorite, Jimmy. I'm telling you. I know. You didn't let us down. You didn't let us down. You're my favorite. You're a fan favorite, man. You're the man, buddy. Thank you. Okay? I promise you. You're the man.
Thank you.
All right?
Hey, man, I'll chill on that stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't give you such a hard time.
Give me your hand. Look at me. Fucking look at me, Chris. I swear to God. I swear my life. That's not true. Okay? I swear to God, that's not true. I swear my life. All right? You're our partner. You're our guy. All right? Season 3, we're gonna be losing weight. We're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna keep this going. All right?
Production is the physical embodiment of the audience. literally co-opting their bodies in some cases. But there is also a real sense in which production develop a fondness for the contestants. As the show progresses, not only does the division between contestants and production fade, to the point that Trish just joins production when she's eliminated, but any friction between them fades also. Some of you might be familiar with this image, or its many, many, many variations. See in the bottom, right down there? That's meant to be the end of the road. I mean, what could possibly be next in the logical sequence after conflict with the author of your own actions? Well, surprise, surprise, conflict kind of stops making sense after this point.
Remember, we're on the same team, okay?
Remember this conversation.
I will.
We're just trying to make a funny
I will.
show.
I swear to you, I will.
That's it.
This is a comedy. This is a comedy show.
Okay.
That's all.
When the author of your actions turns out to be just another character playing their role, how do you attribute blame? And if you chase that locus of responsibility further up to, say, the audience, yeah, they're the bad guys, well, then the antagonist for the fish is also the one allowing the show to exist. The very show the fish idolise and were fans of prior to being cast. So it can't really be the audience either. You see the issue here? We've lost the ability to know how to feel about what we're seeing. The fish have no one they can justifiably beef with. There's no one left to be in conflict with because everyone, production included, is just doing their part to shovel coal into the eternal content furnace.
Who do I have to kick off to make this thing interesting?
Trish?
So Trish underperformed today. Does anybody agree with that? Raise your hand if you agree with that sentiment. Oh shit.
And you can see the tonal shift once this realisation starts setting in. The beef bell still gets rung, but instead of there being real emotion behind it, it's just this solemn understanding that the people need content. And boxing is content, I guess. The lowest form of content, but this is a show where people throw human waste at each other, so the bar is pretty low. But what happens when we strip content of narrative structure? Watching neurodivergent people box, poorly I might add, is all shock value sugar and no nutritional value. Where's the fibre? Where's the good versus evil? There isn't any because the show is speed run through every possible form of narrative conflict. Once everyone is aware of the role they're playing in producing content, audience included, the friction that was once there is replaced with something like solidarity. We play characters to appease one another. Cole, Jimmy,
If they want me to be evil, I will be evil.
Taylor,
Don't apologize. Every story needs a good villain. Embrace the power of the dark side.
and Chris.
Your mission is to pop that top and run around the house topless one lap.
They play the villain because that's what production and the audience required of them. Once everyone is aware of that fact, the tone quietly shifts to gratitude. Even the fish are grateful because, deliberate or not, they went through a period of radical self-development that simply would have been impossible in their circumstances prior to entering the tank.
The spontaneity and chaotic nature of this house makes you, it gives you the opportunity to change faster than in the monotony of the real world.
The fact TJ felt overwhelming joy when he was cast demonstrates that this show really does have a self-help element. TJ basically signed up for a confidence-building extreme exposure therapy boot camp.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't think I am. I don't know. Sometimes I don't think I am deserving of love, honestly.
In the late 80s and early 90s, this guy David Foster Wallace, now recognised as one of the greatest modern novelists, also a striking resemblance to Sam Hyde. Weird that it happened twice in one video. Well, he wrote 2 essays bemoaning the influx of irony in all forms of media. You know irony? That thing people do where they say one thing but mean something completely different?
Yeah, like it wasn't like that before.
The chips I'm giving you is a joke. You understand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't encourage you to.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Yeah.
Well, Wallace was sick of it.
And the problem, though, is that a lot of the shticks of postmodernism, irony, cynicism, irreverence, are now part of whatever it is that's enervating in the culture itself, right? Burger King now sells hamburgers with "you gotta break the rules," right?
You've heard of irony, but have you heard of meta-irony? Meta-irony is what happens when irony and sincerity are dealt out in such equal measure. It's no longer exactly clear what anyone really means. Fishtank is meta-irony through and through. The show doesn't just dabble in meta-irony either. It practically weaponizes it. You know all those production techniques I talked about earlier to create uncertainty and paranoia? Well, they all fly under the banner of meta-irony. Production, being the ones behind the curtain, utilize this cloud of uncertainty to craft storylines and dramatic moments. The contestants, the ones in the cloud, breathing the meta-ironic air, well, they can't tell up from down.
Hey, look. I am real.
I am real too.
I am not an actress.
I am TJ. I come from Southern Michigan.
And are forced to rely on production for any semblance of direction.
Oh, you good?
We, the audience, are more elevated than the fish, both in the figurative sense and the literal sense. But we still never really know what's going on. So those brief moments of sincerity that punctuate the cloud of uncertainty, they stand out to us. These moments start out brief and sparse, but with each passing day they become a little bit more frequent. You see, meta-irony is fun, but it's not satisfying. It's void of any emotional core. In the words of David Foster Wallace, irony tyrannizes us. The reason why our pervasive cultural irony is at once so powerful and so unsatisfying is that an ironist is impossible to pin down. All irony is a variation on a sort of existential poker face. And as Hyde puts it, no, not that Hyde, essayist Lewis Hyde, irony has only emergency use. Carried over time, it is
the song of a bird that has come to love its cage. And even though it sings about not liking the cage, it really likes it in there.
Fishtank knows its audience is primarily calloused, terminally online young people who use irony to insulate themselves. So by gradually lifting the cloud and returning to sincerity, it's effectively roping in an audience that came for the irony, but who stay for that juicy, nutritious sincerity.
Okay, you don't know what you want, but we do. We know what you guys want, and we're gonna bring it to you.
David Foster Wallace suggested the only antidote to our culture's pervasive use of irony was a return to sincerity, what is now called post-irony or new sincerity. I see Fishtank as the fulfillment of that prediction.
It's always been my prerogative to be genuine. Being genuine is so much more powerful than being ironic.
Yeah.
It's so much funnier. It's so much more impactful.
Not by bombarding the audience with sincerity from the start, something that would no doubt frighten away all those repressed young people, but by drip feeding them sincerity until they begin to enjoy the very thing they were initially resistant to. It's production's last trick. A rug pull so slow, you don't even realise it's happening. I have a suspicion David Foster Wallace wouldn't have been too keen on Fishtank. And I'll admit, the package of meta-irony it's wrapped in was a little hard to stomach at first. But the result is a show that challenges us to see past narrative, past the good guys, past bad guys, and just be grateful that we have people like Jimmy who proffer themselves as the villain for our enjoyment.
I really didn't want to be the villain. That's, obviously when things get edited, you'll see me bawling my eyes out in the basement, to be honest, in front of, like, them being like, I don't want to do this.
And look, I don't know if the show is strictly speaking ethical. Is the trauma that Summer experienced offset by the self-improvement you see from TJ? I don't know. I really don't. But it is an interesting show, if nothing else. And I did just spend hundreds of hours researching and filming this shit, so it has to mean something, right? Please?